Traders, how are we? I hope you're ready because I'm going to share with you all of my trade ideas this week, including entry levels and how I use price action to find these high probability trades. Welcome to the weekly Forex forecast. Let's do this. As always, guys, I've got loads of great trading opportunities to show you. We're going to look at US dollar to start with. We're also going to look at Japanese yen, which had some real strength last week, but tailed off at the end of the week. And we're going to look at this Aussie dollar strength that's in the market as well. We're also going to take a sneak peek at oil. So buckle in, let's do this. So let's start with the US dollar, right? Because the US dollar has become very difficult to trade. The price action's always so scruffy. And Euro US dollar is no different, right? If we look at the weekly chart, we're in an uptrend, and then we've just been, not much is happening in here, right? We're in an uptrend, but there's lots of indecision, and we are at a resistance level, and we've seen sellers come into the market. But last week's weekly candle is just a doji, right? It just says indecision, which it feels like we've had for months with the US dollar. Now, if we drop down to the day chart, however, it's very clear, I would say, right? We was in this uptrend, right? And now we're in a downtrend. We're getting all of these top wicks in here, which suggests selling. And I think Euro US dollar, we could take back down to these lows, right? So ultimately, I am bullish US dollar. But the trade I really like is New Zealand dollar, US dollar. We've seen some weakness in New Zealand dollar. So yeah, this is the one I've chosen for this week out of all of the US dollar majors. This is the trade I prefer, and this is my first trade idea. Now let's start with the weekly because as you know, I do a top-down approach. And unlike Euro US dollar, which was in a weekly uptrend, this you can see has clearly broken down, right? It broke this key support level in here. We had this big bearish candle last week, right? I know we have a bullish candle this week, but it's an inside candle. It's inside this candle. And that suggests that sellers are still in control, right? What you'll normally get is this high will be taken out, price will close back into it, and then price will look to come lower. And that's exactly what we plan to do with this trade, right? So if we now look at the day chart, you can clearly see, right, we was in this uptrend and then bang, we're clearly in a downtrend. And we've retraced to a really nice resistance level. What was once support in here and even here becomes good resistance, okay? So at this level, if we get a nice big bearish daily candle, something like this, then I will be very much interested in selling New Zealand US dollar back down to these lows, if not further, guys, as well. Let's move this out of the way. So that's what I'll be looking for. And in terms of price action, right? Because obviously I said I'm going to show you what I look for in terms of price action. And this is the H4, and this is my entry time frame. Now, what I'll be looking for is this, guys. Once price comes up into this resistance level, this gray zone that we just looked at, what I want to see is something like this. Maybe price, starts to break down. And if we get a break of H4 lows like this, then H4 structure has changed. We're in a H4 downtrend, and I will be looking to sell this bad boy back down to here, stops above the high. All right, so that's exactly what I'm looking for in terms of price action with New Zealand dollar, US dollar. It might happen right here, guys. You might stop making higher highs and it breaks down here. So be it, but we just need to see that structure break. All right, so yeah, New Zealand dollar, US dollar is the trade I prefer, is the US dollar major I prefer. Let's take a look at Aussie dollar strength now. All right, and let's start with Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. So if we go to the weekly chart, right? And if we zoom out a little bit, you can clearly see Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar, right? It's started to range and then bang, we broke that range. We're clearly in a weekly uptrend, right? Plus, we have nice bullish candle. Plus, we have room to move into back up to the next psychological level. All right. Now, one thing I am aware of is we are at this high, and you'll be able to see that more clearly on the day chart. So if we go to the day chart now, yeah, this is that high I'm talking about. There's clearly resistance here. And just look at these candles. Look at the wicks on them, right? That is suggesting that we will get a little bit of a retrace, right? I'll be interested in this level here, if not a deeper retrace into this support level here as well. And if we get a reaction here in terms of the daily candle, a bullish candle, I will be looking to enter from there or even here, guys, as well. All right, so Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar, that's Aussie dollar strength, but we're also seeing Canadian dollar weakness as well. Yeah, and if we look at that on the H4, just to give you a more detailed look, what you have to bear in mind is this is that level I'm talking about, right? You can clearly see prices reacting through here, right? Now, let's imagine it does retrace to that level. In order to retrace to that level, we are going to see a H4 structure break. So, maybe it reacts here, maybe it reacts down here. But what I'm looking for is then for H4 trend to build back up. Maybe we get something like this, and then we can start trading Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. So that's exactly what I'm looking for in terms of price action. I want to be with daily trend, which we know we are, but I also want to be with H4 trend as well, because that just creates high probability trades, right? So that's what we're looking for to start buying Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. And like I say, guys, this Aussie dollar strength we can see in a few trades. The next one is Euro Aussie dollar. Again, let's start with the weekly chart. Now, this is clearly in a downtrend. So let me explain the structure, right? We was in this uptrend. It stopped making higher highs. That's always a red flag that, trend is slowing down and structure could be about to change. This is the weekly chart. It still takes weeks for trend to change, but it has, right? As soon as it come down here and we got this big red candle breaking these lows, we are now in a downtrend, okay? And on this weekly chart, right, we've had a retrace. We've started to see a selling candle come in, okay? And I think potentially we could take price all the way back down to these lows and this psychological level. If we go to the day chart now, the day chart has nicely in a downtrend as well, right? We don't have to wait for a daily structure break. We are clearly in a downtrend, right? The higher time, the larger trend here is this one, right? These highs never broke and we're getting lower lows. But we also broke this low in here as well. So that's confirmation that we are in this downtrend. And as you can see, we're just getting bearish candles, top wicks, right? There's some sellers in here. So we could be at a really nice level right now for sales with Euro Aussie dollar, potentially all the way back down to here. And if we drop to the H4, this is what we will be waiting for. Potentially we have a trade, Monday, right? If we look at the H4, right, we're basically here. We're still in a downtrend, right? We're getting lower highs, yeah, and these lows haven't broken. But if we end up getting a nice big bearish candle here on Monday morning, I think we've got a nice trade potentially back down to these lows, because that is the next piece of support. Take some profit, right? Let some profit run. So that's what we'll be looking for with Euro Aussie dollar. Again, guys, remember we want to be with H4 trends. So if it does something like this and starts breaking this, we're not interested until structure starts breaking down again, then we would be interested. All right. So Euro Aussie dollar sells as well. One more Aussie dollar strength trade is Aussie dollar yen. But this is really interesting what I'm about to show you guys, because yen is conflicted again across different pairs. And before I show you this trade idea, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button if you're enjoying the analysis. Also, guys, please don't forget to come join our trading community, right? We've got thousands of traders in there sharing knowledge, ideas, their experiences. So please come join our free Discord channel. It's free. Why not? Also, guys, please check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. In there, you will find access to all of our premium trading education, including the Simply Forex Complete course, including the mentorship program, including the VIP Academy, and including our new Price Action Pro indicator. If you're interested in any of that, go check out the website. And also, guys, if I could also ask you to all please make a comment, right? Let me know what you're looking at. Let me know if you like my trade ideas. Not only is it interesting for me, it also helps support this vid. So please leave a comment right now. And all the links are in the video description. I'm doing lots of pointing. Right. Yeah. So Aussie dollar yen. Okay. Now, to understand Aussie dollar yen, we need to understand a risk on and risk off environment, right? So if we look at the indices, okay, and we go to the daily chart, right, or even the weekly chart. Now, ultimately, indices are bullish. Things are a little bit overextended. If we go to the day chart, we're still bullish, but we got some selling on Friday. Now, generally speaking, if the indices are bullish, which they have been, we see Aussie dollar strength, right? Aussie dollar is a very risk-on Forex currency. So risk on basically means investors are willing to trade in riskier assets, and riskier assets are stocks. Okay, so risk on, people invest in stocks, the indices do this. Okay, in a risk off environment, the opposite is true, right? If the indices start doing this, then Aussie dollar becomes weak, okay, and Japanese yen becomes strong. Okay, so this is really important that you understand this correlation and this dynamic. So bearing that in mind, if we go back to Aussie dollar Japanese yen now, I am looking for buys, but we need to see the risk on environment remain, and we need to see an indices still bullish, right? Because if we don't, then we're going to start to see yen strength. And what I want to do with Aussie dollar yen is buy it. Now, from a technical point of view, why do I want to buy it? Well, weekly is in an uptrend. Okay. Price has just been flittering about this last, what was once resistance becomes support. We love this setup. All right. And we've got room to move into. And on this weekly candle, we did see, you know, a little bit of a bottom wick, right? And it closed back into that candle. These are the little nuances I like to see. Right, now, if we go to the day chart is a little bit unclear, right? Now, is that an uptrend? Is it a downtrend? Now, ultimately, I would say we've broke that low. I know these wicks are all closing back within one another, but ultimately we've broken that low. So before we even get to the H4, right, I'm going to need to see the day chart perhaps do something like this, right? We need to see the day chart in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs. And then once we see that, then we can start looking for H4 entries back up to here. All right. So Aussie dollar yen buys. Now, I spoke before about this yen contradiction, because if we look at Canadian dollar yen, right, and we go to the weekly chart, I would sell it. I'm seeing yen strength. Okay, if we look at the weekly chart, right, we are clearly in a downtrend. We're getting lower highs, lower lows, right? And if anything, I would sell Canadian dollar yen back down to this 105 psychological level. If we look at the day chart, I would need a little bit more of a retrace, right? On CAD yen, if we got a retrace into here and our smart river caught up, yeah, somewhere in here, we've got a nice bearish candle, then I think Canadian dollar yen would be a good sell trade. So we need to keep an eye on yen throughout the week and how the indices develop and how this risk on, risk off environment proceeds. You know, we've got to bear in mind the government shut in America. There's lots of volatility. So, you know, this will be a very yen will be a very let's see how the week plays out. Right. But if we get this set up, that is a very good technical play back down to these lows, if not further. And again, guys, you know what I'm looking for by now. If price comes back up into here, maybe it does this, right? And then I'll be looking for a break of structure on the H4. That is actually a head and shoulders pattern, which I've just drawn. Right, so yeah, they're the yen pairs, guys. The last trade I am looking at is oil. Right, so let's take a look at oil. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Go check out all the links in the live in the description. Now, oil has been plummeting like a rock to the bottom of a pond. What a terrible analogy, right? But if we look at the weekly, spot crude or Brent, it doesn't matter, guys, right? They're the same. Okay, so if we look at the weekly, we are in this downtrend. It was ranging, but then bang, right? We broke all these lows. This was a stubborn support level, right? But you can see last week's candle clearly broke those lows, and we have a lot of room to move into, potentially all the way down to these lows in here. And this is another reason why Canadian dollar is weak, okay? Because you know, again, another correlation you should be aware of. If crude oil is weak, then Canadian dollar tends to follow suit. And as you can see, it's very weak. That is a super bearish candle. If we drop down to the day chart, what will I be looking for? Well, I'll be looking for a retrace into this, what was once support, into this resistance level. Smart river comes round as well. Again, we get a nice bearish candle, you know, or just a big bearish candle like this. Just a candle that tells us sellers have taken control. Once we see that, I think we can start selling oil back down to these lows, if not further. All right, guys. So, yeah, those are my trade ideas for this week. Also, guys, please don't forget to join me for the live streams throughout the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. New York EST time. We look at all of these trades live as they happen. So please come join us for that and get all your questions ready as well. I hope you have a great trading week, and I'll see you soon.